Hey everybody, Mitch here. Listen, I wanted to take a second, just take 5 minutes in this short little video and talk to you about something. So, last Friday we had our Christmas party, which was phenomenal. I had such a good time with you guys, and I think it was such an awesome way for us to end off our year together. And I'm so excited to see you guys back in January for Drop It on the 14th. But that being said, we are not actually quite finished. We do have one more thing. Two more things, I guess. But one more thing for sure. Tonight, we have one final Bible study to kind of end off our Advent series. I'm excited about it. I've loved it. It's been awesome kind of going through the story with you guys. And just seeing what the Bible has to offer us and the way of what we can learn just from the Christmas story. That said, in keeping with what we talked about last week, I wanted to make this short little video kind of giving a recap of everything that we've talked about the last few weeks, and just kind of get everybody up to speed, because I understand that Christmas has been busy and not everybody's been able to be there, so I just wanted to create this resource for you. So that being said, let me explain. Advent for us is it's a couple week period that we take to reflect on the Christmas story and reflect on the kind of beginning of the gospel in a sort of way that prepares us for Christmas Eve and for Christmas, in celebrating the birth of Jesus, but then also in hope and joy and excitement for all the other things that Jesus did while he was here on earth, and also what God is doing for us as he ascended into, died, rose again, ascended into heaven. And here we are as Christians. And so for Advent, each of these candles kind of represents, and it's a symbol, and we're supposed to look at it and reflect and remember something that God did for us in what we talked about through the Christmas story. So with that, I will explain. So for us, we've been looking at it through the lens of God's promises to us, and also his fulfillment of his promises. And so week one, this candle right here, this first candle, candle number one, it's called, was the promise of a Savior. Listen, the reality of life and the reality of our world is that we're in a bad spot. We're in a really bad spot. You can see that through a lot of evil that happens out in the world on a sort of macro level, through the sort of through human trafficking in other parts of the world, maybe even some here, through the international drug trade, through war, famine, terrorism, all these other things that we would look at and say, this is evil, this is a bad thing, but this is in us. This is our nature. These are things that we do, right? It's not just a sort of that, and even to take it on the micro level, little things like substance abuse, domestic violence, petty theft. You go to the convenience store, and they're like, yeah, you know what? This little pack of Tic Tacs costs like $2. Whatever, it's not a big deal. That's still evil. It is still evil, and there's so many little things. Maybe you can think of in your own life that you would look at that situation and go, this can't have been God's original intent, and it wasn't. But the beauty behind all of this is that God instead looked at us in our pit of despair, looked at us in our hopelessness, looked at us in the sort of evil and wicked situation we find ourselves in, and said, no, I'm going to save them. I'm going to redeem them. And I'm going to do it by my perfect time, my perfect will. And he promised us that right at the beginning, right at the beginning where Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit and was cast out of the garden, and where sin was cursed upon humanity, but God made a promise right then and there. I'm going to save you. I'm going to send a Savior. And then the people of Israel kind of came and they had all these prophecies, and there's so much hope and anticipation for this coming Savior. And it looked a lot differently than what they thought, which leads us into candle number two, that the promise was perfectly kept. That God fulfilled this original promise that he would send us a Savior, he would save us, but it looked a lot differently than what we as imperfect humans might have expected. And this came in the form of Jesus Christ being born as a baby to Mary and Joseph, lying in a manger. And just you read the story in Luke chapter 2, and you can actually watch and see the lengths of which that God went to fulfill his promise and to have Jesus be born. We also looked at a passage in Revelation chapter 11 that talked about the sort of spiritual reality behind what was going on, in the sort of the reality of the spiritual battle that not only Jesus was in coming into the world, but the spiritual battle that we find ourselves in today, that God is waging on our behalf. This promise that God would save us and send us a Savior was so perfectly kept for us. And in that, we can rely on him, have faith in him, just the same as Jesus went faithfully and reliably to the cross. Which leads us to candle number 3, is that this is such joyful and exciting news. This is something that we should be screaming from the rooftops. Guys, my depression, my mental illness, my anxiety, everything else that I'm dealing with, my poor family situation, my drug addiction, my alcohol addiction, anything that I might be going through is redeemed and saved by Jesus, by the blood on the cross. This is the ultimate answer to everything, because he comes in and redeems it. It's so beautiful. We have a Savior. We don't have to sit here in this hopeless and desperate pit of despair anymore. So what do? We should go tell people about it, because how horrible would it be for me to have this information, have this joy, have this news, and not tell you about it? And that's what candle number 3 is, that we should be reminded of the joy and excitement that Jesus has given us in this new life that we have in him, and we need to go tell people that so that they can have new life and joy. Now, that gets us to candle number 3. You see candle number 4 lit. And what we'll be talking about tonight is that this promise was not just made to the people of God, it was not just made to the Jews in the church, but it was made to all people. That this is something that, as we tell people about it, it's something that we want to bring you in on. If you're watching this video and you don't know Jesus, if you're watching this video and you wouldn't call yourself a Christian, maybe you hate church, period. I don't know how you got affiliated with me, but I'm so glad you're sitting here watching it, because I want to tell you that this promise that God sees you in your pit of despair, in your kind of hopeless situation, and you might sit there and think, there's no way out of this. I can't get out of this. I'm going to be stuck in this unhappy, unjoyful situation forever. No, I'm telling you, no, there is a way out, and it's through the person of Jesus Christ, because candle number 4 represents that this promise was made for all people, not just me, not just the church, not just the people of Israel. You. It was also made for you. So that's where we're going to be talking about it at a more extended level tonight. And hey, I hope this was a solid recap for you. Listen, if you would do me a favor, and if you would like this video, if you would share it with your friends, just in keeping with the joy and excitement that we have for the gospel, I would appreciate it. I love you guys.